It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
Happy Saturday matinee, gentlemen.
Hello.
Good morning.
Bienvenidos.
Listen to all the voices we have here. This is the biggest SatMat we've had yet. We've got Tommy Handsome is on.
SatMat, let's do this.
You need a SatMat song when you join us.
SatMat, let's do this. That's pretty good, right?
That's really good. Steve, glad you're back. Are you okay?
It's good to be
everything
back.
okay?
Oh, yeah, I was back last week. You were gone.
No.
Yeah, you were gone.
And therefore, when I'm not there, it's like the world doesn't exist.
Oh, it doesn't count?
Yeah,
okay.
It's like I'm like a child that way.
No object permanence. If I haven't talked with you, it didn't happen. Okay.
I am a I'm a hot peekaboo target. Let's just say that.
It's good to be back.
It's good to have you. And Andy, of course, what's new in your movie life? You're trying to get through the movie for this week.
I've been cranking through. Like you pointed out, Netflix has the Dragon Tattoo. I like how they call it the Dragon Tattoo trilogy, but the extended editions. So I'm partway through part 1 of part 2. If that makes sense to people.
You mean episode 3?
Episode 3.
Yes,
that's right.
Extended edition, episode 3. Okay. Exactly. And my whole family is down with strep, so I'm just sitting here trying to avoid it.
I'm so
filling
sorry.
myself with alcohol.
That's
a bold thing to do on a Saturday morning, Andy.
I feel like that just dated us a little bit. We should tell the truth. We don't start drinking that early.
Speak for yourself.
As it happens, it's my fault. We need to record this. We're recording this on a Friday night. I am coming to you from Seattle, at the 26th floor of the Sheraton Seattle. For PodCon, the inaugural PodCon. So when this goes live, if any of our Patreon supporters are actually at PodCon, look me up.
You know what sucks, though, is that Andy is making a joke about being drunk on a Friday night because he has kids. I'm just drunk. Is that weird? I don't have kids. I'm just living the Tommy life. Tommy Handsome for the win. Let's do this. Woo!
I like the assumption there that, he has kids. That means he's home not drunk on a Friday night.
I guess.
Which actually was true, but
what's going on in your movie lives? Anybody see anything good?
You know what I think is important? This is not in my movie life in particular, but I think it's very important to note that finally, people who want to go see Coco but have been afraid of having to sit through the abominable 30-minute Olaf's Frozen adventure can now see it this weekend.
They did? They got rid of it?
They're removing it, my understanding is this weekend it's finally been removed, and now you can watch Coco sans that little shop of horrors that it was.
Did they make a statement?
No, they just said it was just for a limited time. It's that sort of thing. Like it was a limited experience. Catch it before it's gone.
Did you guys see the actual short?
Oh, I did. Yeah,
you did. Was the problem that it was bad, or the problem that it was long? I haven't seen it yet. I assume it was one of those two.
If it was of the quality that it is, and it was only like a 5-minute short, it would have been completely tolerable. Because there have been some not so great shorts on some of the Pixar and Disney
those
films.
Volcanoes talking to each other.
Yeah, there are some.
Whichever one that one was.
You be careful. Yeah. Stay in your lane, Tommy.
There are some that just don't work very well, but they're short, and so you can go, okay, well at least it's over, and now I can get onto the movie. This was a full length, like a TV Christmas special, is what it was.
Because it was basically
like 20. Yeah, exactly. So it was like 23 minutes long, and it's like even my kids were like, "When is this going to be over?"
That seems like such short sighting for a kids movie. For family and
terrible.
Kids, because Coco isn't short. Coco is what, like an hour 45, maybe hour 30 at least.
Something like that. And they can fit an entire extra screening of Coco in now just because they've cut the thing off.
Well, it was made for TV, and then they decided to not air it on TV for some reason. So let's just drop it in front of a movie. Yeah, why not?
Do you think
I'm just wondering if there was a short that they had made that didn't end up working, and they're like, oh, this isn't going to work. We don't have anything that we can use. Oh, we'll have to use this, and just threw it on there.
Or conspiracy theory, do you think that they were worried that Coco might be a little bit more polarizing audience-wise? It's a boy instead of a princess, and B, it's a different culture than maybe has some. I don't know what I'm talking about. But throw that on there.
That's a good point. Hey, let's get the white kids in because they want to see Olaf, and then they'll have to sit there to watch the movie about a foreign culture.
That's what I'm wondering. It's not like
it's not like they were marketing the Olaf short, though. It's not like I didn't see any marketing of I never see marketing as to what the short is.
Oh, that's a good point.
I thought there had been some hey, Olaf's Frozen Adventure or whatever stuff that was. I thought I did a couple things, but
there have been some other short Olaf's things.
There was another Frozen short.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Well, you're right, Andy. This is a red letter day, a day to celebrate, a day I hope people are able to go out in the streets and organize.
It's those two. It's net neutrality and Coco.
There's nothing else going on in the world. Yeah. Oh, right.
See what they didn't. They didn't tell you they're moving Coco in front of the disaster artist so that you get to see something that another horrible film in the making of it.
Actually, I think Olaf's Frozen Adventure has been pulled so they can just put it before the evening news in Los Angeles. Tommy, has the world on fire actually reached your doorstep?
I in no way can I ever compare my situation to what's been going on for so many hundreds and hundreds of families.
Yeah.
I know that I can talk for myself that I've been on what it's called is light evacuation watch, which just means get ready to go if there's an alert. For the past 3 days, I have 2 go bags. Mm-hmm. One of them is Foster. I put my puppy Foster in a bag. It seems weird. I could just have him be the but that'd be a good call. My entire apartment smells like a campfire.
Yeah.
All of my you just sort of live with smoke and ash all the time. And I'm where I currently am in Sherman Oaks it's a little bit caught in between a couple different fires, but again, I can't really complain. My complaining would just be being annoyed of not being able to walk outside for too long without getting a throat ache or having my eyes hurt. But it's tragic and serious, and hopefully, there are a lot of great people doing a lot of good work on it. So, but I've been very safe. I've been very, very safe, very lucky to be very safe this entire time.
Well, good. We've certainly been thinking about you, and that's why I came to Seattle. Just head north, because you never know.
Yeah.
It's what else is there anything else opening up this weekend that I'm going to miss?
The Disaster Artist is kind of hit a wider release, so it's kind of spreading out everywhere. And I think
I can't wait to see it.
Guillermo del Toro's also is.
Yeah. Shape of the Water.
Yeah, hitting a little wider release this weekend also. I don't think any major new releases are hitting this weekend, though.
You don't sound very excited about either one of those. Just in your voice, you're not emoting excitement.
I am excited about both.
I'm excited about one of those.
Can't you hear it in my voice?
No.
I am excited about both.
You are not selling
What?
it.
Can't you hear it in my voice? I am excited. I am excited. I'm a robot.
On this show, one job.
I saw Lady Bird. I was able to see Lady Bird.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Have we talked about that already?
Steve has a lot.
I did. I want to hear what Tommy says.
I really loved it.
Yay.
Yeah, I really loved it.
You sound excited when you say yay there, Steve.
I know, I am.
Yay.
Yay. No,
I think you're all robots. Yeah, no, I loved it. And I kept, because it was kind of a little bit potentially in Los Angeles overhyped of this is the big new movie. And I saw it, and it's just such a small, perfect, great movie. And the thing that I really appreciated the most is that it didn't accidentally take itself too seriously. It's very serious. It has real pathos. It has real drama. But at times when it could sort of accidentally get up its own A word and just sort of like make that go on and on during like the second act to third, Long Night of the Soul, it doesn't. It makes it just very sweet, and it was funnier than I thought it would be. I was really blown away by how much I enjoyed the movie. I loved it.
Awesome. I have to see it. I don't know when I'm going to finally get to. I might have to sneak out one of these evenings late after the kids go to bed to go see that one.
Dope them up on drugs and then, knock them out for the night and head out and see the movie.
It's playing. The hotel I'm staying.
Parental advice from Steve.
That's right. Little NyQuil for them, and then you head out.
Andy, if you just rub a little bourbon on their gums while they're sleeping.
That's right. That helps too.
Yeah. It's a winner.
Or when they're awake. When they're awake. They lick it off. They're like, this tastes like my uncle. And you just keep where
that's
you're
right.
Yeah.
Because, Andy, a good parent will protect their children from a disturbing movie. A bad parent willingly takes their kids to those disturbing movies.
Oh, it seems like there's a existing problem happening.
Somebody's real proud of his memory, isn't he?
Yeah.
Real proud.
I don't know. You'll see when those therapy bills start coming in a few years. Then my dad took me to a movie. And there was a church, and there were people being killed by a British guy.
What he put in that guy's mouth before his head exploded?
Oh, you took your kids to see The Hateful Eight? I get
it. Are you telling me you don't actually know this story? It's Steve's favorite.
Tommy, you were on that episode of The Kingsman, the first Kingsman movie.
Oh, The Kingsman with the heads exploding.
Yes.
Parade. I apologize. Yes,
the final last moment.
All right,
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about trailers, can we?
Let's look at a clip of that last element from Kingsman.
This is a close up on Pete's daughter as they're watching that last scene in Kingsman. Let's talk about trailers, and I think the A24 rule has kicked in.
Absolutely, yes. Mm-hmm. Gotta love it. So this film is it's kind of a documentary I'd like to talk to you guys about. It's this documentary about the podcast here and the importance that Pete plays in my life.
What?
Is the new film called Lean on Pete.
Where is this joke going?
Your name's in the title.
Oh, I get it. Well, I get it now. It just took me a minute.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, no, A24, Lean on Pete. So this is the new film directed by Andrew Haig that looks really touching and sweet for an A24 film. It's not like a lot of the darker films that they run. This is a little lighter. Although I understand it's quite a devastating film, actually, from what I've read about it. It's pretty... there's just a lot of kind of heartbreak and realism and stuff in it. But basically, it's about this teen boy. It looks like he doesn't really have a mother. His father is kind of a bum, and he gets a summer job working for this horse trainer played by Steve Buscemi, and befriends this old racehorse, Lean on Pete. And it's kind of like this boy and his horse story. He becomes great friends with this horse. The horse becomes friends with him. The horse wins a race or two, but then all of a sudden he's too old and he kind of is fading, and they're going to sell him and kill him. And that's basically like the end of it. And so this boy, played by Charlie Plummer, who what is the thing that he's in right now? It's I can't remember, but he plays the boy, and he is All the Money in the World. That's right. He's the young boy who gets kidnapped in that movie. He plays John Paul Getty III in All the Money in the World. And he takes the horse and goes on the lam with it. He runs and tries to make his way away to save the horse. And that's pretty much the story. It looks very sweet, and inevitably it's going to be heartbreaking, and I'm going to probably love it. So Lean on Pete, that's my pick. So what do you guys think?
I didn't know A24 was distributing Disney movies until I saw that it was rated R at the end. I was really surprised by this movie because, yeah, it seemed like that, sort of family drama of, sort of the kid that doesn't have a family bonding with an animal and going on the road and having adventures. But yeah, I can tell this has a much darker tone to it. It's not clear what happens after he gets on the road, but I'm assuming there's some sort of high stakes, tense, suspenseful, drama there, because there's got to be some thrill to, is he going to lose the horse? What's going to happen? His life's in danger. But yeah, I was really intrigued by this because it looked like it was one thing, but then, yeah, it definitely has some darker tones. And then with the R rating, I'm expecting maybe a little bit more into the character piece, the relationship with his parents and everything that's going on there of the sort of trauma in his life being a major part of this. So I'm intrigued by this one. It looks interesting.
I'm also interested. I mean, anything that A24 or Magnolia Pictures puts out, I'm all automatically interested in. The R rating makes me nervous because I'm also such a child about animals being hurt. Mm-hmm. As we remember from my inability to correctly review the apes on top of the earth. What was that called? Planet of the Apes?
I think that was it. Apes on top of the earth.
Apes on horses.
Apes on horses, and some of them die. Like, I think that most of my review was like, well, I'm just sad and I don't enjoy this. So I'm worried about some of that. And I also weirdly, in a sidebar, have trouble identifying or feeling excited about horses.
So apes are okay, but horses you don't. It's
weird, right? Hold on. I'm just hearing myself talk. This is very exciting. It's exciting to hear myself in the earphones. What I mean is that, I would be willing and interested to see the movie. Weirdly, the fact that it is an R movie makes me nervous, but does make me more interested because it makes it seem like it's less of a Hallmark or, as Steve said, a Disney movie. Because it has all of the trappings of that. And I wouldn't want to bother with that, but this seems like an interesting possibility.
I really feel like we need to uncover your problem with horses.
I saw War Horse.
Okay.
I didn't see the movie. I saw War Horse, the theater piece. And
I think you actually saw the War Horse.
Let's just get into it real quick.
I was unimpressed.
I didn't see the actual War Horse. Yeah. I saw War Horse, the actual theater piece, and most of the time, initially I was like, wow, that fake horse looks kind of real, and that's interesting. And then most of the time, I felt like there was a whole lot of people. I don't know if any of our listeners have seen the actual theater piece. There's a bunch of people that die and are caught in barbed wire and soldiers and stuff. And everyone is like, but what about the War Horse? And I remember being like, who cares about the horse? There are people here. Did anyone? Is this relatable at all? Thanks, vodka. I'm going to keep going. The point being that there was like a girl in the show loses her parents. And then she comes out and she's like, but what about the War Horse? And I remember getting very angry and saying, I don't care about this stupid horse. There are humans involved, and that's how it goes.
Okay, so your problem with horses is all wrapped up in War Horse, which the theater piece, which noted has no actual horse in it.
Pete, I can't remember the last 5 minutes of things that I've said.
I just want to... I'm going to stop pressing the issue here, but I feel like you and I we're going to have to leave this book open and come back to it another time.
Yeah.
This horse thing is going to plague me.
It's weird. Horses. I don't care about horses as much unless they're but I'm watching Godless on Netflix, which is outstanding. And I don't like people that are mean to horses, I might not have anything to stand on.
Yeah, you're rooted in quicksand. Nothing.
You're gonna need to really write out all of the time codes. Like a lot of this should be taken out.
This is gold.
Yeah.
This is podcast gold. I think this movie makes me really nervous. It's A24 and it's rated R, and who knows what that means. It feels like they were trying to present us with a fun, happy movie like the other horse movies we've talked about on this show, and I think they're about to betray me, and that makes me hate them a little bit. So we'll see. I know you're going to love it because it turns out that there's actually a sand demon on the track somewhere, and the horse is going to be running, and it'll be a whole thing. They'll be sucked down and ripped apart, and it'll all take place in a cabin in the woods. And I'm not down with that.
Wow.
I feel like the trailer is lies.
Have I gone down in history as being someone who hates horses and wants them to be killed? Because that is not right, because that is the only reason that I can't rewatch the never-ending story.
I already changed gears. I was now responding to Andy.
Okay. I just assume everything's about me. I apologize.
Podcast gold.
I'll just end it on this. It does say the quote about the author, Willie Vlautin, who wrote the book that it's based on, says that he's created something special that will make you shudder, weep, rage, and wonder at how such things happen and do, and how some individuals such as Charlie can suffer them, absorb the grief, and somehow survive. So there you go. It's going to be
rough.
It's going to be a tough one, and I can't wait. It's going to be opening here in the U.S. March 30th. Before that, will open February 16th in the U.K. Otherwise, it's run in festivals. May still have some other festivals, but nothing's marked down. But that's all for release dates right now. Lean on Pete, folks.
And keeps getting shot. And he's like, come on!
That's right. He's buried alive, and then he comes out again.
And then he goes on and revenants up and then comes back.
And we know how that ends. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he does that one. Exactly. Yeah.
Tommy, your film, let me help you out here. Your film is called You Were Never Really Here, from director Lynn Ramsey, based on the book by Jonathan Ames.
Exactly.
She also wrote the adaptation. It stars Joaquin Phoenix. And he has a rockin' beard. He
does have a rockin' beard. Whoa. Beard's very in. And also, ever since she directed We Need to Talk About Kevin, I've been very, I know that was her last one before this, but she's an amazing director. And I loved that movie so much. And this movie seems incredibly, potentially brutal. And it actually reminds me about a film that I won't mention right now, but I'll bring up later when we start listing things, but about a sort of either a revenge or a one person out to do the best that they can kind of vendetta against whatever it takes. It's a very strong trailer. I love the trailer. And it seems like something that I would really like to see, while also maybe covering my hands at times because of how brutal it is.
Yeah, it's crazy. The trailer, I don't know. It looks to me, one of the things I think that it does really well, and I think Joaquin Phoenix does really well, is like play the role of the brute, the thug, but not looking like the brute or the thug. And that means every act of violence that comes out of him is shocking. Every single one in the trailer. It's amazing.
Yes. That's a great thing. That's a great thing to say, because he could also just sort of be a weird hippie like he was in, what was the last movie, not the latest, but the last movie by Paul Thomas Anderson starring
Inherent Vice.
That kind of sort of, hey, I have a beard, hey, wavy gravy kind of nonsense guy. He seems to have that same kind of possibility, but then for him to just be like, yep, and now I have a hammer, and I just bought it at Lowe's, and I'm doing this stuff, seems kind of thrilling. And I know that it won a lot of awards from film festivals. So that's cool. So that also means that I'm smart.
Well, I agree. Joaquin Phoenix
For
looks
picking
great
it.
in the trailer. It looks like it's got just an intensity to it about that I am excited just watching
Yeah.
the trailer, how intense it is. I actually have to plead guilty. I've never seen anything that Lynn Ramsey has done. I haven't seen, when you talk about Kevin or Ratcatcher, Morven Caller. I am a complete blank. So I'm going to need to start catching up on some of her films, though, because this one really looks interesting.
The cool thing is she is very much a humanist and a naturalist, but she also very much has a style. What we need to talk about Kevin really has, it's a style that doesn't suffocate the film, that you think that she's trying to be an auteur or anything like that, but it really, you feel the film, and it's very, very exciting to see. So I'm very excited for you to see it. And for me to
I was confused because by the title, I thought this was a sequel to his earlier film, I'm Still Here. And this is You Were Never Really Here. So I was confused if this was a companion piece, but then I watched the trailer and was just blown away.
This does not look like that.
Not at all. This looks like a
brilliant,
really compelling thriller. I'm glad Tommy picked this trailer. But I'm in the same boat as Andy. I haven't seen any of her films, but based on this trailer and things that I've heard about, we need to talk about Kevin. Something I'm looking forward to visiting her work, and definitely this is one I'm eager to see on the big screen.
I highly recommend we need to talk about Kevin.
I haven't seen it either. I can't believe it. It looks
I feel it's really extraordinary.
like a crazed version of The Bad Seed. Is that kind of what I'm getting out of it?
Maybe Lynn Ramsey is a director we should look at for.
Andy.
It's a very beautiful made film. It's not like indie, like crazy stylistic all over the place, but it's just a beautiful, beautiful film. I love that film.
Looks like it opens April 6th.
Thank
for
you.
anyone who wants to know.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you.
I do, because I want to go see it. Okay.
And for the record, I just did great. I've been having some trouble tonight, and I did great.
Pat on the back.
Pat on the back, Tommy. All right,
Yay,
Steve.
Tommy. Okay.
Thanks, me.
So, to me, this trailer was like the perfect follow-up to your Star Trek series. This is Please Stand By, which is coming out in January of 2018, which I know does not bode well for this film, but this is Dakota Fanning as a young autistic woman who runs away from her caregiver in an attempt to submit her manuscript to a writing competition. And she is a huge Star Trek fan. So there's a lot of Star Trek humor in this. I think we've got Patton Oswalt in here, and it looks like it's intercut with scenes between her story and what I imagine is her vision of her story that she's written. So to me, sort of a small little indie film that's probably going to fall by the wayside, something that I'm throwing in here because I know that then hopefully JJ and I can leverage it for a future trailer rewind, because I don't know how wide of a release this is going to get. But to me, it looks really, really interesting. You've got Dakota Fanning and Toni Collette, Alice Eve as some Star Trek stunt casting, and Marla Gibbs from The Jeffersons.
Wow.
Very interesting cast in this one.
So here's the thing. This trailer started, and I saw the thumbnail that came with it. I'm like, oh, I think we've talked about this trailer before, because there's the movie about Fanning and the aliens and stuff. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, it's totally different. That was How to Talk at Girls at Parties, where Dakota's sister, Elle Fanning, plays like an alien with Nicole Kidman. And so it totally threw me when I first started watching this, because that's what I was expecting. But no, this is actually a totally different story, and it looks really interesting. And I think Dakota Fanning captures a great presence as the character in this trailer. And it's really kind of haunting just from the trailer, just to see what she's bringing to the table here. So I'm really excited about this one. I hadn't heard anything about it. So, yeah.
I'm legitimately excited about Dakota Fanning in this movie, and she's done a lot of stuff and not a lot of stuff that I have been legitimately excited about. She looks like she brings funny and damaged, and that's always a fun thing to see how these artists portray damage like that. And so I can't wait to see it. I think this is one that's really going to push all my buttons.
Well, Ben Lewin, the director, did The Sessions also, which had a great pairing of characters who were dealing with damage, and it all was so realistic. I really loved the characters in that film. So I get that sense here, too.
He's Michael Golamko is he's the writer, and he's a regular series writer on Grimm, which is a local Portland show. At least it was. Not anymore. I think it was canceled anyway. But it's a good show, and it's another one of those shows that actually, writes well about metaphor of some of the similar themes. So, I'm looking forward to it. I think it looks great. And the Star Trek stuff. Come on.
Exactly.
Okay, my turn. And the trailer, I'm not going to lie to you. I when I heard Tommy was available to do the show tonight, I got really excited to pick Alita Battle Angel, which, as we record this, only dropped, I think, like 8 hours ago. This is the new film from writer James Cameron and Lita Kalogridis and director Robert Rodriguez. It is an action-packed story of one young woman's journey to discover the truth of who she is and her fight to change the world, according to IMDb. Really, it is the live-action, we'll say roughly live-action take on Battle Angel Alita, the Japanese manga known there as Ganmu. Literally gun dream. I don't know much about Battle Angel Alita, but I do think it is the imagery is quite stunning, and I was very curious to see the wide-eyed and lovely take on Alita in this trailer. What did you guys think?
I've been waiting for this forever.
Seriously?
Because it was like, I want to say 15 years ago, he was developing this at the same time as Avatar, and it was a matter of
James Cameron
was. Yeah, he was going to direct, and he had both of these going, and it was a matter of technology and what was going to fit best. And so I had heard both of these things, and I knew that this was based on pre-existing material. So I thought, okay, that'll be interesting because, yeah, people have issues with some of Cameron's writing and scripts and stories being derivative. So I thought, this will be really interesting. He's pulling something from source material. Hopefully he won't stray too much from it. And then it got shelved. And then it was Avatar came out. And then it was like, well, Avatar is going to be a trilogy. And I thought, did this project just get buried? So I was thrilled to see it coming back to life and to have Robert Rodriguez attached to it, to know that he can execute, a vision really well, and has shown that he's really adept at merging live action and CG and doing it, I think, very effectively.
It just seems like such a huge budget project for Robert Rodriguez. Like, that really throws me. Like, that threw me more than anything else, seeing his name attached to this as the director. Because I'm like, I can't picture him directing a James Cameron-sized budget project. It just doesn't work in my brain. So that I'm really curious about that partnership. Anyway, how did Rodriguez and Cameron end up kind of coming together to work on this project together? Very peculiar, but it piques my curiosity. I've got to say though, like, the big manga eyes in like a CG realistic person just freaks the hell out of me, and I do not like that look at all. I'm not a fan. So I'm curious to see how the whole film strikes me when I finally see it.
And we should say just because we should say the cast is it's a Cameron budgeted cast. Jennifer Connelly, Isaac Gonzalez, who is Darling and Baby Driver, Rosa Salazar plays Alita, Michelle Rodriguez, Christoph Waltz, Jackie Earle Haley, Jeff Fahey, Mahershala Ali. It's a nice cast. I mean, they've got good people in it, but this is sort of one of those movies where if you watch the trailer, it might look sort of fine, but if you pause it, it looks ridiculous. Any individual still frame looks just ridiculous.
Yep.
Tommy?
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, no. This movie that trailer had almost nothing for me to hang on to. As far as like, this is something that I'd be interested in. Also, with Robert Rodriguez being as Andy said, with him being given such a huge budget, I don't see Robert Rodriguez being a detail person.
No, he's not
at all. Yeah, at times. Part of this is from some work that I've been sideways involved with him before, but I don't think that he has the kind of necessary amount of detail or want to get things right kind of stuff. And so I think that he would, I mean, yeah, the eyes are insane. And I just don't think that there will be enough attention to real character development or realizing why that kind of a strong decision will be made will be worth it for me. I'll see it if people that I care about see it and trust, and I mean that from all of you. If you guys see it and you love it, I'll give it a try. But A, manga. B, Robert Rodriguez. C, weird eyes. D, what are we on? Weird nonsense plot. Like, it's not necessarily for me, so I don't feel comfortable saying I don't think it'll be good, but I know that it's not in my alley.
It's a funny thing about Robert Rodriguez. I think when he's at his very best, and I go back to like the Spy Kids, early Spy Kids movies, right? Where when he's at his best, like that is a movie that really strikes the chords for my kids. You know what I mean? Like that hit them at a certain age,
sure, where
it was just full of all heart, and it was messy and chaotic, and it met the right. It met sort of the right people at the right time. And so I wonder, like, I really don't know. I legitimately don't know who this movie is for, with James Cameron, writing it and Robert Rodriguez directing it. Like, I can't figure it out. It's a mystery box. So
there's neither of those people are good at details. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, like, no one rewatches Titanic and is like, oh my God, how great the script was.
Right.
I don't think,
no,
right?
Exact. No,
and both of them,
here.
But I would think that one of them would want to be more the script guy and one of them would be more the visualist. Yeah. Instead, we have visualist on visualist, and we'll see. It might end up accidentally being sort of a really expensive music video.
Yeah, but if it's, well, I still love Desperado. That movie it was so much from beginning to end. So yeah, Rodriguez, he can execute on some things sometimes better than others, but I think that this has, a script that's there that we know Cameron can deliver an entertaining script. So I know there's that.
Absolutely.
And then, with what Rodriguez can bring to the efficiency and just fun to that, I'm looking forward to it. So.
Now, it's crazy though. Looking through his projects, Sin City, which also was another graphic novel adaptation.
Right.
So I mean, maybe he's got that going for it here.
True,
but that was his biggest budget that I can see, and that was $40 million that he spent.
Yeah,
this film is $200 million.
Oh my God!
Like, that worries me.
Wow.
I just what is Robert Rodriguez doing with that much money? I just don't know if he can handle making a quality project.
It's an enormous leap.
Well, yes. What was, Andy, as long as you're in there, what is the budget for Machete Kills in Space? Is that comparable?
Machete Kills, I have as
so you don't,
20 million.
You don't have Machete Kills in Space? That's a thing. So
that's only
are you for real?
Machete Kills in Space, Johnny Quest, Ugly Dolls, all of those are in the top 4 with Alita Battle Angel in terms of some state of announcement production for Rodriguez's directors.
Too early to get. It's too early to get the numbers for those new movies.
Right, of course, but it just, one of these things is not like the others. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
how did this happen? And you wonder. I don't want to be too much of a prognosticator here, but come on. Like, this is one of those where you sort of feel like he's going to say, yeah, maybe that movie was not the kind of movie I like to make. Yeah. Once we get to the other side of it, you just feel those words coming out of that mouth. You know what I mean? So this movie opens July 19th in Argentina. We'll get it July 20th, the next very day in the USA. Right. That's Alita Battle Angel. We're only 48 minutes in, gents. I think we should do the list.
I think we'd better.
Yeah.
I was not here.
Does it usually go this long?
It does not.
This is my first time. I'm very excited.
This week I was not here for the last week. Who wants to set up the list for this week?
So this week we are talking about the beginning of the Millennium Trilogy, the Swedish film series based on Stieg Larsson's novels. We talked about The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and Steve and I thought it'd be fun to talk about great foreign films that were remade poorly because Americans feel the need to do everything themselves and make it, quote, better.
Quote, better.
There's a little bit of judgmentalism.
I wonder what you mean by that. Yeah. Wow. Okay, so how do you want to how do you want to do it? Who do you want to go first? What do you want to do?
I did trailers first, so why don't I go last? And you did trailers last, Pete, so why don't you go first?
Oh.
We'll do Pete, Tommy, Steve, me.
All right. Well, okay. So my first is a movie that my memory of it was really good, and then I saw it again and realized I don't like this movie. I didn't even know the first time I saw it that it was a remake of Wim Wenders' 1987 Wings of Desire. I'm talking about City of Angels.
City of Angels.
Wow. And as a bonus, I think it would have been fairly easy for me to do all three of my picks. I didn't do this, but all three of my picks with Nicolas Cage in them.
I think that would be entirely possible.
City of Angels is if you're not a fan of the Goo Goo Dolls, it's a straight up terrible movie, and I feel like there are people who are going to really respond negatively to me saying that, but you should go watch it again, and then you'll see it's not a good movie. So City of Angels.
No.
Yeah. Wim Wenders is Wings of Desire is just brilliant.
The Alanis Morissette song in that film is one of my favorite songs of all time, though. Uninvited. It's a great song. That's not how it sounds.
Wow, yeah.
That's not how it sounds. But here's how it goes.
No, it's okay.
You're on a
It's okay. It's okay.
No, I'm going to do it. Yeah. No, that's the only thing that I remember from that film is that song is an amazing
That's probably
song.
Better for you.
Yeah.
All right.
Fair enough.
All right, Tommy, what's first on your list?
My first choice is actually Old Boy. It's by a South Korean director named Chan Wook Park. He's very well known. And this is actually a very legendary film. It's probably one of the most decorated and loved action/revenge films in South Korean film history. It has to do with a guy getting sort of trapped in a room and then not knowing what came out of it, what came before, and then he gets freed and he has to figure out exactly what had happened to him in all of the time that he had forgotten. It's a fantastic movie. It has one of the very best non-cutting, all one-take claustrophobic action scenes of all time down one hallway. And I loved it. Unfortunately, it was remade by Spike Lee in 2013. And while Spike did make some good changes, he really did do a really good change to the very ending of it. I thought it was just sort of, why would you ever remake such an amazing movie like this? It kept the brutal violence, but it lost a lot of the pathos, and that would be my first choice.
I haven't seen the remake, the Spike Lee. Don't really. Wasn't that the one where, that was really in 2013. That's where Brolin started bulking up, right? And now he's a monster.
Now he's a big purple monster.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
And Brolin is great in it. It's not his fault. And again, the original ending is very steeped in Eastern sort of mysticism. Actually, Spike Lee's ending is much more satisfying, but everything going through that has a lot of trouble.
I don't remember the ending of his version. I just remember I hated everything so much. Maybe by the time the ending happened, I just was ready to walk out of the theater. I don't remember what happened.
It's in the original, the mysticism is that he's just sort of able to be hypnotized to forget everything that has been done. Okay. He and his daughter are being able to like this. And in the Spike Lee version, he's not hypnotized because that's not a thing in America. Instead, he's like, okay, I've created the world's most worst thing ever. And he goes back to live in the hotel.
Okay.
Which is actually a really good, better ending for an American sensibility. He just is like, okay, I'm just going to live in this hotel forever.
Interesting.
Steve?
Somebody took one of mine, so I'm digging in. So I'll get one of these out of the way. So in 1990, I walked into a movie theater and saw this weird French film just because it got good reviews. The Femme Nikita, was blown away by that film. And then a couple of years later, John Badham decides to remake it with Bridget Fonda. And I thought, okay, this can't be too bad, right? Oh, point of no return. No point in seeing this movie. It was horrible. Took what I thought was a great film and just utterly turned it into a piece of Americanized garbage. It just had none of the tension, and yes, that's one that still to this day makes me angry. Still so upset.
Yeah, I don't remember much good about that one. It was it wasn't Nikita. I feel like it's one of those ones where I feel like I can't really remember much about it, but the only thing I really remember is her jumping into the like the laundry chute as the explosion goes off or whatever. That's like all I have in my head, but I just remember it wasn't that great.
Exactly.
My first choice is actually a foreign film that happens to also be in English. It's a British film from 2007 called Death at a Funeral, directed by Frank Oz. And it's a fantastic and hilarious film about this family trying to deal with all sorts of problems when they go to the head of the family's funeral, the father's funeral. Brilliant comedy, just dark, witty, all sorts of fantastic stuff happening. Alan Tudyk's in it. My particular favorite is I don't know. It's hard to say. Probably Peter Dinklage is probably my favorite because he ends up he's just kind of this mysterious stranger who shows up at the funeral that turns out to be I won't spoil it, but it's really brilliant. And then for whatever reason, 3 years later, Neil LaBute decided to remake it with an all African American cast, and I guess that was the twist, is making it American, but it's now African American, and it just like why I don't know. It just was one of those things where I didn't understand what Neil LaBute was trying to do here. He really didn't do anything new to the story other than just change everybody's skin color, and it was really flat. Peter Dinklage is still in the remake, and it was nice to see him return in his same role. But I don't know. It was just one of those remakes that I just shook my head. It's like, why does this even exist? So that's it for me. My first choice, Death at a Funeral, Neil LaBute.
That was a funny movie because it was so much like they had so many great character people in that movie that that they couldn't they didn't let do their thing, the thing that they're really good at. Kevin Hart, Martin Lawrence, like these guys are enormously funny individuals.
Chris Rock,
right?
I mean, it was a great cast.
It's great. That was really sad. That was Tracy Morgan. Is it my turn again already?
What's next for you? Yeah, what's next for you, Pete?
Okay, so I almost feels like I'm throwing this away. It's like too easy, but it is of course Roland Emmerich's Godzilla 1998.
That was on my list. That's great.
It's great. This was not a good movie, and it's one of those movies that I really wanted to have more fun with because Matthew Broderick and Jean Reno, and they're people that I really like. The problem is, what I didn't know when I walked into the movie is just how much I would hate Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich when I walked out of it. I feel like they took a ridiculous concept that so many people have made such a great cultural statement on technology and war and used this monster and this dude in a suit, and they made it, they just sucked all the soul out of it, and it was not a good thing. So that made me sad. Don't ever go look at it again.
Can I add to that?
Sure.
Because that was one of my choices. It's so 1998 terrible in that the only two things that I actually remember about the movie is, number one, the other dinosaur bad creatures racing down the hallway and slipping on bubble gum. Like people are running away from creatures and they slip on bubble gum because that's how that happens. And then also, do you remember the big song from that movie? This was back in the days when we would have rap singers make songs for these kind of movies. Do you remember what it was? Does anyone have
I totally don't remember.
Was it?
I know that it was that era, but
oh man, it was a rap song. Is that what you're saying?
It was rap in that it was based, the whole thing was Led Zeppelin's Kashmir guitar riff over and over and over again.
Oh.
And the big thing that made it legit is that Jimmy Page actually pretended to play the guitar during it.
That was with
Does this sound familiar
Puff
at
Daddy?
all? Yes.
Oh my
God.
God.
It.
Yeah.
It was called Come With Me. And that was back when if you'd watch the music video, you would see him sort of be doing vague rap things, and then like a monster would be in the mirror, and he'd be like, "Oh no!" And then he would just sort of rap, sing, talk this song. It was called "Come With Me." Puff Daddy.
Well, that sounds just terrible. So yeah, that's definitely number 2 on my list.
Tommy, next for you.
Mine would be, let's see, The Vanishing.
Ooh,
it's a big punch to Hollywood, but The Vanishing originally was the director was George Sluizer, I believe. Either way, it was in 1988. He made a film about a guy whose wife disappears, and he tries to find her, and he goes through exactly what she needs to experience. And the original film has one of the greatest, most downbeat, horrible, and great endings in my lifetime that I've ever seen. And in 1993, Hollywood was like, hey, let's do this. And they had Jeff Bridges, Kiefer Sutherland played the bad guy. Sandra Bullock was in it, I think. It was the same director, which actually really hurts my heart. They remade the exact same film. Kiefer Sutherland really hammed it up. But it was the epitome of Hollywoodizing and making things gross, of people don't want a bad ending. I won't necessarily spoil the ending for either film, but it was the idea that The Vanishing had one of the most iconic endings ever for a thriller, and then Hollywood came in and redid it with the same director and just sort of made it happy. And it's just so upsetting.
And what the hell was Jeff Bridges doing in that film? He, his character, I don't know, whatever affectation he took on for his character, but it was so bad.
Weird. It was weird. Yeah.
Oh man. Good choice.
Thank you. I did it.
You did.
Yeah,
you
stole one of mine. Pete stole one. Tommy stole one. I'm waiting for Andy to steal one. So I'm going with Ghost in the Shell, which I know I experienced with Andy and JJ earlier this spring, and it was just the most boring, disappointing experience ever. Watching the anime, I don't know how magic is lost when you're just trying to recreate something. But then they tried to go a step further, and then there became this whole whitewashing issue and things they did with Scarlett Johansson and her character that just they strayed from what worked and ended up making a mess of it. So that's my second pick. So if you haven't seen the Ghost in the Shell with Scarlett Johansson, don't. It will just destroy any memories you have for the original. Just stick with that and know that it's wonderful, and you can live in that world and not need to see it recreated with live actors.
Good choice.
Yeah, that's
great
a really
choice. That
good choice.
That was on my list. I'm down to alternates because everything that I had on my list has been picked. So I guess it goes to show we all hate the same remakes. This is my next choice it's a remake that I don't know if I can say I actually fully hate it. But I don't think I really appreciated it. And based on the original, which I felt much more, granted, lengthy and ponderous, but I feel that it really, in that particular case, kind of warranted it. The remake, I don't know. It was one of those remakes that I was like, I don't know if they really captured what the original had. And this is the 2002 remake of Solaris, the really interesting film that I'm going to blank out his name. Tarkovsky directed in 72, I think?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a really interesting, really ponderous, really long sci-fi film that at first I was like, oh my, how long am I going to sit here and stare at these reeds in the water? Like, it was really kind of tedious and slow, and watching you drive through a tunnel at night and all this stuff. But then as I got through the whole film, I'm like, oh, this really put me in a place. Like a lot of the imagery and everything put me in a place to really appreciate everything going on within the film. The remake that Steven Soderbergh directed, produced by James Cameron, I feel like they latched onto some of the concepts and stuff that were going on in Tarkovsky's film, and also the novel by Stanislaw Lem. But I just didn't feel like, kind of going to what Tommy said about The Vanishing, I feel like it was almost a little Hollywoodized, although they were trying to be ponderous with it. And that's just how it came across to me. And I in the end, I just really kind of struggled with it. And I said, if I ever feel like watching either of these again, I'm definitely going back to Tarkovsky's. So that's my next choice, Solaris.
That's a very interesting choice, because that was one that came up on my radar, but I actually would go for the Soderbergh.
Oh, interesting.
I'm more of a fan of that one. Maybe even just because, for such a ponderous or such a broad idea, I wouldn't put it past me to just be like, who are actors that I know? And just who are actors that I know? And
hey, George Clooney, I'll watch that one.
It's like, I'll be born to watch a pretty person.
Kind of thing. I honestly wouldn't put that past me, but if I have that, because I am actually a fan at times of Solaris, and I know that frequent collaborator Darnell Smith on the podcast that's one of his movies that he says he goes to sleep to, meaning that's one of his movies that he will see all the time, over and over and over again.
That's not a great compliment.
I don't know. Is that not?
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, is it my turn?
Back to you, Pete.
Have we come around
final
again?
Choice.
All right.
This is it.
All right. My final choice. I am actually thrilled to say that you have not picked any of mine. And so this one, I hope it takes from one of your lists. The movie that I am talking about, maybe you've seen it. It's a French film from director Jérôme Pires, and it was from 1998. It's a film called Taxi.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the new one. Is the problem
the old one? Have you seen the old one? Everybody's seen the old one. I
have not.
I'm sure Andy hasn't, because it was written by Luc Besson, and we have a hard line hard
Check.
line against that. It's a silly thing. You've seen the story before. There's the hip taxi driver has to work off a bad record, and he has to chauffeur a loser police inspector on the trail of a German bank robber. Right, that's the IMDb quick and dirty. But it's full of color and light and frivolity, and it is fun. It even passes the IMDb 6-star list. It's a 6.9 on IMDb. It, in fact, was enormously popular. It spawned a couple of sequels. It earned over $200 million in the box office. Like, it was a hugely successful French franchise. And so what do you do when you have a great French franchise? You remake it with Queen Latifah and Jimmy Fallon. And it's not and it turns out that is not a great recipe for success. This was one of the very first things that Fallon did when he came out of SNL, and man, I am so glad he found late night talk show hosting. Because this is better. Giselle Bundchen was in it, which I had forgotten, but apparently she was in it. I did not make that connection. Directed by Tim Story, and adapted by Robert Ben Garant. Don't see the remake.
Oh, Ben Garant.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know.
No, actually, directed by Tim Story, according to Wikipedia. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I remembered that, and yeah, that was Jimmy Fallon trying to prove he could carry a comedy movie and not doing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and Tim Story, I mean, he ended up behind the first two Fantastic Four movies. It's tough. It's tough.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
anyhow.
All right, Tommy, what's your last choice, buddy?
It's up to me. My last choice it's a film called With Honors. The remake was made in 1994 with director Alec Kashishian, I believe it's what it's called. It was Joe Pesci and Brendan Fraser were in it.
Oh, yeah.
It had to do with Joe Pesci starred as a Harvard bum, is what he said. And the most important thing about this film is that it wasn't a remake. This was the first film that someone had made, and it was so terrible that I just want it to be on any kind of list of terrible movies. This was never a foreign film, just with honors, starring Joe Pesci is a terrible, terrible film. I hate it so much that I just thought I'd sort of put it on this list.
That's okay. You're allowed to break the rules, because you could say that it was a horrible adaptation from a much better idea in somebody's head.
Who was probably French.
Yeah, no. At some point, someone thought this was a good idea, and it wasn't. With Honors, 1994. It's a terrible, terrible film.
Oh, that's great.
All right.
So great.
So you guys left me damn, we're in a tight spot. I've got one left, and I have to say it's a close call. And this is a remake, and the American version, I won't say is horrible, but it was probably just unnecessary, because I don't know that it added much to the original other than, just it's the native language is now English. And so I'm looking at the vampire films, Let the Right One In and Let Me In. They're both
were
yeah,
good.
They're both good, but let the original stand. And if you're going to just make it and at least it's not worse.
Ooh.
But I'm like, I would rather have the original. It's like, again, this whole issue of, we have to make it we have to make an American version just because we need it in our language. Because to me, it didn't add much to it. I think it's still a great film. But if you enjoyed it, I'm going to encourage you to see the original. So that's sort of where I am. I'm at the tail end of my list. So it's not a bad remake. It's just I think an unnecessary remake.
That they remade the Wicker Man, right?
Yeah, but I haven't seen those. See, I'm sticking with things. I'm sticking with.
Fair enough.
Yes, I'm sticking with things I've seen. So yes.
Fair enough. No, me too.
Yeah, that's the challenge I've had is I'm sticking with ones where I've seen both versions.
Right, yeah.
So it's made it a little more challenging on my list. For my final pick, the end of our list tonight, as much as I wanted to throw Secret in Their Eyes in here again because I hated it so much, I feel like I berated it enough on our episode about the Argentine film, which is so much better. So I'm not going with that one. I'm going with a film that it's a classic Kurosawa film that I absolutely love. The remake, I don't remember it being horrible, but I also don't remember it really being great. And in the end, I feel it probably just ended up being unnecessary. I'm talking about Yojimbo from 1961 that was remade in 1996 as Last Man Standing with Bruce Willis.
Oh, Bruce Willis!
And directed by Walter Hill. It's one of those movies where I'm like, I don't think the movie was necessarily bad, but Yojimbo is just so stinking good. Why did they need to remake it? Now, I will say, I did think it was kind of cool that they brought it into kind of like the Prohibition 30s with mobsters and stuff. I feel like they did a good job of kind of recreating it in a different time. But in the end, I'm just like, why remake this? Just go back and watch Yojimbo. So Last Man Standing, that's my final pull of my alternates. So there you go.
Nice list.
I respect that pitch. I respect that pick very much. That was also one of the ones on my list, except that I have a kind of a weird crush on that film. I actually really like that film.
Yeah, and that's one that I'm curious, like, if I go back and rewatch it, will I like it? It's Walter Hill, it's Bruce Willis. Like, there's a lot of stuff about it, that I think might work. But again, I just like Yojimbo is just so stinking good. I don't want people to miss that because they're watching this one.
And there's an enormous chance that if I rewatch it right now, I'd be like, oh no, what have I done with my life? Absolutely. Yeah.
Well done.
Fantastic. All right. Well, there's the list, guys. So next week, we're talking about the second film in the Millennium Trilogy, The Girl Who Played with Fire. So what are we going to talk about on our list next week?
Movies with fire.
Movies about girls actually playing with fire.
Oh, The Girl on Fire. Yes. I don't know.
I was thinking second films in series.
Yeah, I have a
Second films and trilogies. That's wow, Andy, you're
really reaching, stretching.
I know, I really am.
Yeah.
I try to do that once in a while.
Well, Pete, we were really stuck because we came up with this because the other option was, well, we could do movies about hackers, so we could talk about hackers.
Well, I've already got Poltergeist on my list of girls playing with fire, so you can't have it.
See, I haven't seen that one, so I don't know what the basic story is about. I'm still working my way. I'm in part 1 of 6. I've never watched that trilogy, so I'm.
You're talking about the girl. Okay, yeah.
No, I'm talking. Yeah, girl on.
They start doing reporting on a sex trade, basically.
Oh, sex trade movies. Okay, let's see.
There you go.
No.
That'll be a fun
sounds
list.
like a fun.
What about Best Thugs?
Oh. Okay.
This is a movie that happens to have a giant,
a giant scary thug.
Giant scary guy who can't feel pain, and he makes for a particularly brooding and sinister thug. What do you think? Any love?
I think that could work.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay.
Best
Sinister Thugs.
Best Sinister Thugs. All right, that's it.
All right.
Best.
That's our list for next week.
Sinister Thugs. It's done. It's on. Oh, I can't wait.
Fantastic.
And I'm actually very excited. We did have a mention of The Wicker Man, but the third film in the Cage horrible foreign film remakes, what was it?
Bangkok Dangerous.
There you go, Andy. I knew you'd come in with that. Yeah. I didn't see it.
I just knew it was a horrible remake.
I did have another runner-up, and I didn't pick it because we did it on the show, which was the original Lady Killers. I think that's technically British, so we could have gotten away with that. What were the Coen brothers
Death
thinking?
at a Funeral.
Death at a Funeral. There you go.
Hey,
right.
I still argue that Tom Hanks gives one of his most fantastic character performances in that film. As bad as it is, I love watching him in that film. So take that.
I know you do, Andy. I know you do.
Did anyone bring up With Honors? It's a very bad movie. Did we?
I'm sitting here building the links of the original film and the remake, and I'm really struggling with finding the original film.
Yeah.
Tommy, did you want to regroup on that? No.
Yeah, you can find
okay.
it. You can
I'll
find
keep looking.
it. Yeah.
I'm just going to put the trailer twice. This was fun, gents. This was the longest Saturday matinee we've ever done. I wonder how long it will be once I have my way with it.
It's about 10 minutes, I think.
I sure appreciate you guys making the way to do this on a fine Friday night, and hope that this makes for good sound dishwashing podcasting for your Saturday matinee. Everybody, thank you so much for downloading and listening to this show. We sure appreciate it. Thank you so much as Patreon subscribers for helping us to do what we do and supporting us that way. I got nothing else to say. Thanks, guys. Good night.
Ciao.
We did it!
Hey, I get to sleep in.
I know, right?
There you go.
Honestly, the fact that I don't have to be up for a 7:15 because I'm already drunk, that's great. That's a win-win for my stupid lifestyle. Yeah.